Okay, boxing fans, I'm going to do my prediction now for Chris Arreola versus Seth Mitchell. Starting with Chris Arreola. He has 35 victories, 30 of which by way of knockout, to 3 defeats, only 1 of which by way of stoppage. Lost his last fight to Bermain Stavern in a great fight. And if you watch my prediction on that, 1, I said Stavern would win. If you watch, and his opponent, by the way, is Seth Mitchell. 26 victories, 19 of which by way of knockout, to a single defeat by way of knockout, and he's also got a draw thrown in there too. Now this fight, guys, is an easy fight to predict. Don't need to watch thousands of hours of tape. Don't need to, make thousands of notes. Not at all. This is one of those fights where you have to actually ask the matchmaker, what the hell was he doing when he decided to make this fight? Because Seth Mitchell is going career suicide through Chris Arreola here. I don't see how he wins this fight. I mean, what I want to know is, you can write down in the comment section how you think Seth Mitchell beats Chris Arreola. And I understand, the limitations of Chris Arreola. Don't worry, I don't think he's the big Mexican hope, or I don't know, a great heavyweight. He's not a sensation. I'm totally, feet on the ground with Chris Arreola. It's just Seth Mitchell. Everyone's allowed a bit of credit, but if you got limitations, I'm going to point them out soon, mate. Let's start with Chris Arreola. I mean, I'm going to sum both fighters up. Chris Arreola does have the mentality of a fighter, a decent chin, a decent boxing ring IQ. He's decently heavy-handed, and he also has good power. Overall, I'll call him a decent boxer puncher. Now, what I'm saying is, he should be able to beat up every non-world level opponent, but he will ultimately lose to the better guys in the division. And why is that? Because he has weaknesses. What are they? Awful conditioning, and he's very susceptible to injury. And if he gets an injury in a fight, he still fights on, and he's like I said, he's got the will of a warrior. But if he gets injured in fights, he's basically not even half of the man that started the fight. So let's look at his opponent, Seth Mitchell, and let's sum him up. He's got good power, decent speed, and good conditioning. Now that sounds good, yeah? Now let's look at his weaknesses. Let's look at these weaknesses before I tell you his level. Okay? Weaknesses, and he has quite a few. Doesn't have a fighter's mentality. That's not a good thing. He's got extremely questionable and possibly amateur ring IQ, because don't forget, he's learning on the job, as he used to be I would assume what you'd call like an amateur football player. I don't think he was getting paid for it, and then he got an injury, and then he decided to do a bit of boxing. And obviously, because he's not got a fighter's mentality, he's not got a great ring IQ, he's also, just to tie it all off, he's got an extremely questionable chin. Now I'm not going to diss him and say his chin's shit. I'm just going to say it's extremely questionable, because he got knocked out by what did he get knocked out by? A former cruiserweight who's a bit of a flabby heavyweight, and one who's not contending right now. He won the rematch, I'll give him that, but that fight, you can make your own judgments on that fight. I don't know what his opponent was doing. I don't know what Jonathan Banks was doing in that fight, but it didn't look like he was trying to win the fight. I don't know what was going on. You guys can tell me, but this fight, let's look at the level of Seth Mitchell. This is a guy who is able to win fights domestically, but at international level, he's just waiting to lose. So how do I think this fight's going to go? Chris Arreola will destroy Seth Mitchell via knockout, probably in the first half of the fight. It's career suicide for Mitchell.